Good afternoon, greater Philadelphia area. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacey Mitchell. She's Sarah Tymon. And we've got Gabe behind the camera. And we all work with the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we're streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Just look up Tom Toole Sales Group. So, little hesitation in the market right now, ladies. Is that kind of what we're feeling here? I mean, that seems to be the prevalent message that I've been getting from consumers, from agents, and obviously from our friends, the journalists and the people on the news. What are you hearing out there?
Out in my world, I hear people relaying that information to me, like, oh gosh, I hear that, the housing market's going to crash if I buy now. Is it going to affect the value of my home? They're really, really nervous. What we're actually seeing, though, in the market is something still different here in Chester County. We're still in that fast-paced, the good homes going under contract in the weekend, multiple offers, well over our asking, waiving inspections, waiving the appraisal. So I understand, the rest of there's a lot of areas that are slowing down. They are, changing, shifting the market. But what I'm personally experiencing with my clients is still quite what we've been going through in the past year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I think that, there are still these homes that go up that are in, a great area, that are priced well, that get a lot of attention. And if you were to make the mistake of thinking, oh, I've got a couple days that I can think about this now because of what I'm hearing out there, or I can, let's go in under or at ask, you'd be making a mistake. There are certainly some properties that are sitting longer. And as we've, always said, even prior to this, a little bit of a change that we've been seeing, that's where, homes that have been sitting longer is where you're going to be able to get a little bit more of negotiating power. But homes are, they're still moving quick and they're still getting very competitive offers.
So you bring up a great point, because it doesn't seem like the buyers are the ones that are kind of freaking out right now or getting a little nervous. It's really the sellers that have a concern of a cooling market. And that's exactly where I wanted to go.
Yep.
And Inman News had a great article by Rachel Haidt that came out today that talked about sellers are starting to feel the stress about a shifting market. And a lot of sellers, they're really concerned. And when I hear concerns or stress, it usually leads to paralysis because they're afraid and they don't want to do anything. And they just want to lock the door to their house and never let anyone come in ever again. And they're going to die there, right? So that's kind of very extreme example. So what I know is that it's important to get the actual word out. Stacey, you hit on it perfectly. Here's what's actually happening in the market, because so many people hear so many different things. I mean, for example, Ivy Zellman, well-known housing economist, was on CNBC yesterday, and she talked about how there's an inevitable cut in housing, but it's around new construction, which is totally different because supply costs are up. Labor costs are up. New construction's gotten hit harder with inflation than any other segment of the market because there's a material goods there, and there's labor costs. I mean, it's more expensive hiring people right now. So when you hear that, a lot of people think, oh, automatically prices are coming down, the market's going to crash. And that's not really the case. So how are you going about easing seller concerns right now? Because I'm clear there's a couple things that, and Stacey, you might want to lead off here because you talked about actually showing them like the most up-to-date market data. And you mentioned Chester County in particular, or we work a 4 or 5 county area. So how are you going about that with potential sellers right now, or people just thinking about selling? Because according to a lot of folks, the world's ending and the market's going to crash and the bubble's going to burst and it's going to be a disaster.
Right. So I just have to calm them down by bringing them the real information about the local market. So I just prep them with letting them know, I pull comps, what has sold recently, what has closed recently in their area, and their competition. Some folks realize there's not that much competition, so they still have a really good shot of getting, their expectations met as far as purchase price and possible contingencies being waived. That being said, I have to also prep the sellers so that they have a really good understanding about their real market value of their home. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be positioned properly in the market, so it's not just sitting there. You want it in the market, not on the market.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes having that conversation, that hard conversation up front, telling them what they actually need to hear and not what they want to hear, that's going to set them up for success. And once they have that information where, looking at the comps, find out where their heads are as far as what they want to list the house at,
Mm-hmm.
what their expectations are about how much work they want to do to prep the home before it's listed. And then you can come up with your purchase price, with your list price. And then anything over that, it's going to be, tremendous. They're going to
Yep.
love it. But the worst thing is to have to do a price adjustment. Because then it really just sets them up for, their expectations not being met.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. Going out of the gate with a good number, and then it sets you up for success. Versus, I think that a lot of people think, in a lot of conversations that I've had, they're like, oh, well, let's just price it higher, and then if somebody gives us a low ball offer, we're still winning. And it's like, no, that's not the way to position yourself to really get the most attractive offers. So yeah, properly pricing, definitely important. And I think also when you run the comps and when you run everything, looking and seeing how many days on market something was up before, and then maybe comparing to a couple different times, because I think what we can expect to see, even with a properly positioned home, depending on the area that you're in, it might take a couple more days. Now I know that kind of contradicts what I was just saying earlier about, like, don't hesitate to write an offer, but
Yep.
you don't know what everyone else is doing. So I think when you're on the buy side, you still need to go in aggressive. On the sell side, awesome if you get the right offer your first weekend up. But if you don't, it doesn't mean that everything's, over.
Right.
That's normal. Like, most things usually don't go in a couple days. So I think just filling them in.
Well, and it's really important to say, maybe you're right, that it is taking longer for homes to sell, or there are more adjustments happening, and kind of acknowledging it, and then also showing, well, the days on market went from 19 to 24. It's not like it's, that's what's happening on a wide view in Chester, Delaware, Montgomery County. In Philadelphia, it's more like 55 instead of 45 days over the past, through the end of June. So what ends up happening in a lot of cases is it's acknowledging, yeah, you're right. Here's what's actually happening. We're talking about an extra 5 days on the market, and homes are still selling for X. And that's it's really all about those local trends, because there is a different market between Philadelphia and between the suburban counties. And if you're not acknowledging that, then you're not doing your job. So that's one way. And I think you mentioned about making adjustments on prices. I also find it's important, and I've shared this with a lot of folks, that, hey, you're not the only one that's having to make an adjustment right now, and just showing them what other competing listings are doing and what's a reasonable amount of time before you adjust the price on a property. In my view, you're looking at 2 weeks right now. I think that's probably on the, once you get to like 10 days, you kind of have to feel it out a little bit. 2 weekends is a good barometer to use, and show people, hey, the average time on market's X. If we're on longer than that, we're on the wrong side of this. And the longer we're on the market, the less likely we are to get the price that you want. Besides those things, how else are we calming down sellers right now? Because there are signs of a tipping point. We have seen inventory bump up about 20% nationally. It's still very low. So what else are you telling sellers right now to kind of keep them calm? Because it's still a really great time to sell a home. And that's what a lot of folks are missing out on. They just see, we went from 150 miles an hour down the road to like 110, and it feels a lot slower, but it's not necessarily a bad market. And that's what they're thinking of yesterday, not the past 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think, just honestly, it all comes down to local market data, just so that they're aware of what's going on. So that they can have the expectation of what they need to do, and then having those conversations early with them. Maybe letting them know, let's say you went out at a certain price because they want, like, that's the price they wanted to go out at, and maybe you would have advised something differently. Kind of telling them from the get-go, like, if at this many days in we, X doesn't happen or whatnot, then we need to be ready to go ahead and do an adjustment.
And I think also prepping them for all situations. Ask them, what are they going to do if their house sells in the first weekend? What would you do if your house isn't under contract in a week or two?
Mm-hmm.
And what would you do if your house doesn't sell at all?
Right.
Get those questions answered up front, get them out there thinking about those things. Get them back to their motivation too. Why are they doing this? Why are they selling? What is it? Do they have to sell for a job relocation? That's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Do they want to upsize, downsize? What's really going on? And keep that goal in the forefront of their minds, because that's going to really help them through the process.
Right.
Remembering what they're doing it all for, because it does suck selling. It really just sucks moving and having to pack up,
100%.
prepping the house. So if you can just keep them in it, and keep their eyes on the prize, so to speak, then they'll stay focused. And but I think just really being brutally honest about the market, like what's going on, what could happen, get their fears addressed, and just provide all that data and all that information, and just be real as possible.
Absolutely. And I feel like by doing that and by having them keep their eye on the prize and whatnot, it has them make decisions versus just like staying stagnant, or being like, let's just keep it as it is, and it helps them move forward.
Well, that's a great way to put it. And if you're not just kind of letting them know what to do and giving that guidance and saying, hey, here's what's going to happen, like you said. I mean, no one likes surprises when it comes to selling their home. It's hard enough. It's stressful enough. It does suck. There's nothing people like about this. And when there's surprises that come up where you don't do your job, I mean, just explaining, hey, here's what's going to happen. When you can kind of give people certainty on the process, they're going to trust you a lot more as an agent. And on the flip side of this, think about, you just went through a big renovation, right? Mm-hmm. The more trust that was given to you of like, hey, here's what's going to happen with the renovation, the better you felt, right?
Right.
You just went through doing some stuff with like estates and all that. Like the more advanced notice you have of what's going to happen, how much easier was that for you?
Yeah.
And our job's no different. I mean, these are big projects. They're big life changes for people, whether you're renovating a house or, dealing with some family stuff that goes on. And the more people know going in, the better off they're going to be. And that to me is the number one way to ease sellers' concerns. Just tell them what's going to happen and what to expect. Now, knowing that's the case, I mean, the other thing we've heard a lot is they're worried about where they're going to go. And that I would rate that as the number one concern for sellers right now. Any objection there?
Nope.
That's it.
So we know that so far this year that inventory and supply has risen. If you look at some Keeping Current Matters data since January, we saw about a 1.6 month supply nationally, and we're now up to a 2.6 month supply nationally. And again, this I would agree. We talked about micro markets, like, it depends. Chester County has less inventory than Delaware County right now. It has less than Philadelphia. So you have to kind of look at those things for sure. Seeing that inventory is growing, is that helping you ease sellers' concerns, especially the folks you're talking to now in the marketplace?
Yeah. I mean, I think that just the fact that there are some more options out there so that, they can have a place to go. Because there certainly was a time earlier where if you weren't ready to maybe go somewhere temporarily until the right thing comes along, it could certainly be a little bit scary to get on board and to list your home. Now, I mean, I think the best is always to be open to potentially having to go somewhere in the meantime so that you don't feel quite as forced or rushed into your next spot. But certainly now as inventory goes up, the likelihood of being able to go from A to B is increasing.
And also explain to them options, because as a seller, you still have a lot of options on how you want to handle the sale of your home. So there's a lot of things that the buyers or that the sellers don't know, that you can do a lease back. You can actually put that in the language of your listing that you want to close on the home, but you would like the option to stay in the house for a couple of months until you can find suitable housing. You wouldn't believe like the look that I get when I tell sellers that. They're like, oh, you can do that?
Yeah.
Like, sure, everything's negotiable in real estate, right? So you can definitely do that. And it does really, really help. And that really eases their minds for the sellers that I had to, that we had to move forward in that aspect. They just feel more, that they don't have to hurry up and get out and buy something right away. they can take a little bit more time. They can actually close on the home, take the proceeds, and put it down towards their next. Because with a home sale contingency on the buy side, that's very, very difficult.
Right.
So just to help them out in that way, there's a lot of options that sellers can do as far as how they want to close on their home.
Right. And with the market being what it currently is, and the sellers do still have that ability to do it, now would be the time to move forward with that plan. Because
100%.
if you need to sell to buy, you're always going to have to sell to buy, regardless of what the market is. So take advantage of the fact that you, could get out with a great offer on your home and have the flexibility to stay there and then get into the next one.
Well, and again, you're educating people and letting them know what to expect. If someone told me, hey, you sell your home, and let's say it's a 60-day close, kind of the average, right? 45 to 60, and you can negotiate another 90 afterwards. You basically have 5 months to go find something. I'd take that risk 100% of the time, because then all of a sudden now you're a much more qualified buyer. Like you said, instead of having a contingency or like some cockamamie financing going on. So that's pretty valuable.
And you can do a slow move into your new place.
Like 2 weeks to move instead of one day,
Right,
and moving the same day.
Yes.
And that goes a long way too, and that eliminates a lot of these fears. So we're talking about really how to ease sellers' concerns. And if you're thinking about selling right now, these are the things you want to ask your agent. And I think this is, if they can't answer this, then it's time to find somebody else, right?
Yes, right.
So what's the micro market data tell me? What's the local market data tell me? What should I expect in the process? How's this going to work? How can you make this suck less, as Stacey said? Timing the market, and what's a reasonable amount of time before you make adjustments if it's not selling, and looking at what are the indicators in the marketplace. What does days on market tell you? What does showing activity tell you? All those things. And the last thing we might want to talk about here is just making sure they're actually prepping the home for the market. I think this is a mistake a lot of sellers don't realize, is that if they, don't do that, like cleaning up the landscaping, like weeding the garden, painting the areas that are high traffic. So think like risers on steps, if they're painted or something like that, they're all scuffed up from shoes, power washing, cleaning the house.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and not the normal clean, like when you have friends come over and it's Saturday afternoon. It's the deep clean when your in-laws are coming over and you don't want to see them again for another 12 months, like that kind of cleaning.
Yes.
All those things. I mean, if you just literally walk sellers through that stuff, and this goes in good or bad market. I don't think this is, even though there's more concerns now, and just being able to explain the data appropriately. I mean, if the way you both explained it, it makes sense to everybody. But some agents, they tend to talk in like this economic and real estate jargon, and it doesn't make any sense to anybody. No one knows what they're talking about. Anything else we should be telling sellers right now? Because look, sellers are a little stressed. I mean, they're a little concerned about, the world's ending, the market's ending.
I would tell them, don't listen to all that noise out there.
Right.
Just don't do it. You're going to drive yourself crazy. And what is that saying? Believe some of what you hear. Wait, half of what you hear, some of what you read, and none of what you see, or something like that. I don't know. But there's that saying, and it's that way for a reason.
Right.
So block out the noise, focus on the task at hand, what you have to do, what your goals are, why are you selling, and then just, implement and go through the stages.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I think that if you just listen to the headlines and don't get the details of what's really going on locally, you really just could be missing a really good opportunity.
Well, think about some of the headlines we've heard in the past 7 to 14 days. Home buyer cancellations are up. Ivy Zellman telling us that prices are going to climb and there's a backlog and we're going to see actually price cuts in the housing market, but it's really new construction. We're in the early innings of whatever this is going to be in terms of a shift in the market. All these things, that would scare me if I didn't know what I was talking about. So you got to almost take yourself out of the real estate mindset here and look at what's the consumer thinking, because only 5% of the population's even in a real estate decision-making phase at any given time. Otherwise, I mean, think about your life before you got into real estate. Were you thinking about real estate all the time and knowing what's going on in the market?
No.
I mean, it's normal,
Ignorance is bliss sometimes, right?
Yeah, and I mean, and I would say I'm the same way for things non-real estate related. It's a little hard for me to turn it on and off, given I spent over half my life selling real estate, so that's a whole other story. The point is, though, that this is how consumers think, and when there's so much noise out there, and it's very different than it was even 10, 15 years ago with the way the news is delivered to people, the distractions, the notifications you get on your phone, the hot take sort of fake news world that we live in. There's a lot that sellers should be wary of because you have to give them the right information. And that's really what being the knowledge broker is all about. But sellers shouldn't be afraid because I'm clear in every market there's always opportunity to sell or to acquire a home and make it up on the back end, depending on what you're looking at and what your financial situation is. All the more reason to talk to a realtor and get some real advice, not just go by what you see on CNN or CNBC or whatever news channel you're watching.
Or Facebook.
Instagram.
Right.
TikTok. It's all. But and people they take that as news on these different channels.
Yes, 100% they do. It's scary.
Yeah.
So should sellers be concerned as we wrap up this segment here?
I think sellers just should definitely reach out to local agents. Interview agents and really get down to the nitty gritty. Ask questions. How are you going? What's the marketing plan? What does this home sale look like? Take me through the process before we even get there. Do your due diligence, interview, and you'll see the difference between agents.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, what happens a lot of times is most people just go with the first person they talk to, and selfishly, as an agent, if I kick ass and do a great job walking in the appointment, that's what I want to have happen.
Mm-hmm. Right.
At the same time, anytime someone's told me, hey, I'm going to be interviewing another agent, I say, smart move. You should absolutely be talking to other people. And that's the kind of advice a good real estate agent and a great real estate agent will give. Because if they're encouraging you to talk to other agents, they're that confident in their ability to get their home sold, to get the job done for you, that they're not afraid of what someone else is going to say because they know that ultimately their service, their knowledge, their advice is going to get the consumer where they want to go. And when you take that approach, that's how you win in this business.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're going to end it there. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the summertime kind of lull and the basics for agents that they should be working on during a shifting market. And we've got a plan we're going to roll out that we're working on internally with our team that we're going to share with everyone here to make sure the next 7 weeks are impactful. This is Toole Time, Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
Buying a home or already own one? We can help. I am Kevin Hamill from Alliances Insurance Agency. If you haven't reviewed your policies in the last 3 years, now's the time. New home buyers, there are a number of ways that we can help you get to that settlement table. Call us to find out more at 610-816-0043, extension 3, or visit our website, alliancesinsurance.com. Don't forget the S, it's for savings.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit TomToole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line.
I'm Tom Toole of the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line. If you're thinking of becoming a real estate agent in the greater Philly area, I have a special offer for you. Our team did $165 million of volume in 2021, making us the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania and a top 1% team nationally. Our agents love us because we offer them a successful career, a great life, and an unbeatable culture. Agents who've been with us for at least a year average 30-plus sales. Even our brand new agents average 17 to 24 sales a year. We offer proven systems and expert training. We help you set more appointments and sell more houses. Now, here's the offer. If you don't have a real estate license yet, we offer real estate scholarships so you can get one for free. Check it out at realestateScholarshipProgram.com or visit the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line at TomToole.com. That's TomToole.com. Get more out of your real estate career, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
For the best local mortgage service and great rates on your money, look no further than Mortgage America. We've been operating in the greater Philadelphia area for 40 years with a focus on smooth, easy access to home purchasing. Whether you're a first-time buyer, upsizing or downsizing, or just refinancing, we have programs for you. We also have closing cost assistance programs and access to subsidized interest rates. rates. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. To learn more, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000. We always have a person available to take your call with around-the-clock human service. Purchase your home with the personalized, local service you find at Mortgage America.
Mortgage America is an equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Tymon. She's Stacey Mitchell. And we've got Gabe behind the camera. And we all work with the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we're streaming live every week on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Just look up Tom Toole Sales Group. So the market's shifting. We just talked about how sellers might need to get some more information, kind of ease their concerns a little bit, and not really overcome the objection, but just give them the right information so they can see what's going on, which to me is the only way to help people in a climate like this. Flipping to the agent side, our friend Jimmy Burgess from Berkshire Hathaway Properties down in Florida, I think it's Berkshire Hathaway Beach Properties. I should have this by now since I know Jimmy quite well. I'm sure he's going to love this. Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Beach Properties of Florida. He's the CEO. He had a very interesting article on Inman about 5 truths agents should know about shifting markets. And I wanted to talk about that, and then we can probably take a quick break and come back and talk about the summertime shock your business plan, summertime surge plan that I'm clear every agent should be implementing right now, because how easy is it to fall into like, it's hot out, I'm going to go drink a pina colada or a spiked seltzer, or I'm going to go to the beach, or I'm going to go whatever. And all of a sudden, it's Labor Day, and your business has not moved at all. I am really concerned for people, especially because the market's gotten a little harder to transact. Mm-hmm. So I want to make sure, I feel like it's my obligation and our obligation to take this to the public, because there's a lot of agents out there that want to work and don't know how to do it because they got into the business the past 2 years and the market's changing. That in mind, let's go through Jimmy's 5 truths. So I'm just going to throw these out there, and I'm going to hear what you guys have to say if that works. So the first one is people want to deny a change is happening. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all comes down to giving them the local data, and if there is a little bit of a shift here, acknowledging that and showing them what that means.
So tell us more. What kind of data? What change do they not think is happening? I mean, obviously we know that, but let's get it out there to the marketplace.
I mean, I'm thinking it depends on what all articles they're looking at, how well informed they are. But as a seller, thinking that you can still get absolutely anything for your property and that it's going to go the first weekend. And for buyers, thinking that they don't have a shot.
Okay, well said. So,
well, some agents, they might still think that, you don't have to do much. You just open the door, you go in, the buyers write the offer, and they go well over asking, waive everything, and they're under contract. Mm-hmm. So they might not know that there's more to it than that because they haven't been exposed to those types of transactions that actually take a little bit longer, and you need to take them out a little longer and nurture these folks. So I think that maybe they're sitting back saying, no, it can't happen because they don't want it to happen.
Right.
It's more like they want to deny because they don't want it to change. They want the easy pickings.
Yeah.
But real estate's not easy.
Exactly.
If it was easy, it wouldn't have an 87% failure rate. So I couldn't agree with you more.
True.
This is a problem. And I say this is a problem because some agents, they're just not educated enough. And that is malpractice, in my view. If you're telling people everything's fine, you're still going to get all these offers, you're just giving bad advice. And that affects people's net worth and their finances. I don't care what anyone says. There's people out there that just don't know what they're doing, and it's malpractice. What I also would say is this is why people don't believe what realtors have to say, and realtors get a bad reputation. Because think about it. You're telling them the exact opposite of what's actually happening in the market, and then all of a sudden, they're not going to believe anything you say, and there's no trust there. And a lot of people, they'll do anything to get a piece of business, and then they completely change their tune when they have the person under contract. And I think that's a real problem in the industry. So I love that Jimmy's addressing this because there is a change happening. rates have gone up substantially. We're in the like high 5-6% range. They've been dancing around for the past 7 days. It's taking longer for homes to sell. Price adjustments are happening, and you can get contingencies accepted. These are facts in the marketplace. So if you're going to stick your head in the sand and say everything's fine or do that, I mean, just sign your license over to the state and do all the consumers a favor out there. That would be my advice. So we're in agreement on number 1 here, right?
Yes.
All right, love it. 2, this might be my favorite one. Ego is going to kill a lot of businesses. What do you think?
Yeah, it does all the time. I mean, that's probably the number one killer of pretty much anything. Relationships, businesses, it's ego. People have to check their egos. And I think social media has really inflated egos for the most part. Like people were a little bit more humble before social media. And now it's like ego is like just raging.
Right.
So I think if people don't understand what ego is and control ego, that's a problem in every aspect of your life, not just your business.
You said something really important there, and I'm going to take a bit of a left turn. You guys might know where I'm going because I've been talking about this. Ego does kill a lot of things. Look at what Elon Musk did with the Twitter purchase. I think that is one of the most bonehead moves. I'm going to buy this $20 above what they're actually trading for. It wasn't quite 20, it was 17. And then I'm going to walk away from the deal, think everything's going to be okay. And now the people at like SpaceX and Tesla, they are embarrassed. It's taking his focus away from building those companies. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a prime example of ego killing a lot of businesses. And what I attribute this to, and I know I kind of jumped in here, Sarah, is that you see the agents, they do a couple deals, right? And then they're like, you know what? I'm going to stop doing everything that worked, and I'm going to go work this lead pillar instead because I think I'm going to be better at it. And instead of parallel addition, which to me is the key here, where you got one lead pillar that works, great. Don't stop that. Just add another. And that's where, time management and a lot of things happen. But the people that just go the other way and they don't realize like, hey, everyone says I want more listings, right?
Yes.
The amount of people that put the work in to get more listings is few and far between. So what ends up happening is they spend their time on that and they don't kind of float the two because you got to have money coming in at the same time. So I think that's just one example that I've seen. So I could not agree with this more. And we see it happening to people that are, geniuses, I guess. I don't know what Elon Musk's IQ is, but obviously wildly successful. So, I could not agree with this one more.
Yeah, no, I agree with it as well. And I mean, as you're out there, trying to get listings and trying to work with clients, you need to show them that you're the agent that they should be working with. So you need to, either have some stats or have examples of ways that you've successfully gotten transactions to the finish line. But you can't let that be all that you are. You have to be able to do the work and get them to the end.
Well said. Jimmy, that's my favorite one. And he has said this before on some of his articles on Inman, so I love that he keeps talking about it. Number 3, the influence around you will be amplified. So what that means is that times of change tend to like amplify the influence of those around you, and that's by like uncertainty creates uncertainty. And it depends on like the company you keep, the thing you're listening to, your self-talk. There's all the things you kind of digest every day just to kind of break that down. I know a lot of us live in this world, but someone listening maybe what the hell are you talking about, Tom? So what do you think about number 3? The influence around you will be amplified.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and I think that's true for every aspect of your life. What you let in and what you choose to be positive about and excited about and not put up, a bunch of stop signs towards. That's how your day is going to go, how your week's going to go. It really sets the course for how everything plays out.
That is so true. I mean, for everything. Again, this is for pertaining to life in general. Mm-hmm. If you're constantly negative and everything's like, I can't, I don't, I won't, then that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Whatever you're thinking, it's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So if you say, well, I really want to go for a run today, but I can't because my ankle hurts, then you won't. You won't do it. But if you say, I really want to go for a run today, I'm going to try. Let's get out there and see what happens and just do it. Yeah. So I think your thoughts and the way that you control your thoughts, it just guides you through everything. So I think that, and who you surround yourself with, that's like vital.
So huge.
So if you're around a bunch of folks, who don't have much ambition, they're kind of like, floating around, waiting
Or
for
like,
something to happen.
Oh, something went wrong. Now it's over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Oh.
done. Yeah. Then that's you are the company that you keep.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, it is so refreshing, too, being around people who, like, a problem comes up, and rather than it being like, it's like, all right, well, let's fix it. What do we do next? Like, how do we get back on track? Like, no big deal. We'll figure it out. And then you're like, oh, I can do that. We can get through this. It's not, you know what I mean? So it really builds, and, positive energy goes a long way.
It really does.
So I have a memory of this because I remember someone told me this when I was very young, like in my 20s, and I just started working, and I had this buddy of mine who wasn't working, right? You know how it is out of college. Like some people are serious, some people aren't, and it was like a Tuesday night, and he's like, let's go to a party. And I'm like, I got to work tomorrow, man. And it was like I got so much crap from this person. I just said, you know what, this is not like I'm happy to go out and have fun like anybody else. Like I'm all for that. Not on a Tuesday in the middle of September. Like and it was something that I never thought I would be that kind of person until the situation presents itself and you're trying to build a career or build a business or whatever you're trying to do, and it's just totally counterintuitive to that. And and then all of a sudden that situation happens again and again, and I'm going to sound like some like nerd stick in the mud here, and that's okay because you have to make those decisions, and it's tough to do. And people change too, and I think you have to kind of be mindful of that. Especially, it's Jay-Z said this. We're quoting Jay-Z now on this, but I didn't work this hard to stay the same. Is kind of the idea, and I think that goes a long way with what we're talking about here. I couldn't agree with Jimmy more. So, and I love that you guys said that because we're on this show every week. So at least we must be doing something right. So that's good. All right, number 4. In times of change, there is a flight to safety. So in times of uncertainty, buyers and sellers want to know they're working with an company they can trust. When the economy's making people nervous, there's a flight to brands that are viewed as safe. And the value of being associated with a trustworthy brand, both company brand and your personal team agent brand, increases dramatically during times of change. What do you think about this?
I agree with that. I think that people do want a trusted partner in their transaction. So if you have, again, we go around back to surround yourself by the people. So if, I feel very confident that with the help of my team, I can get through any transaction. So and I know that we have, and it's true, but I know that we have a brand, or an organization that's going to be able to support any situation that comes up. So, and I think that and conveying that to clients is really, really important because they're going to, and they can, we have the reviews, we have the stats to back us up.
Right.
So, because we've been through everything, in as far as transactions are concerned. So there's not anything that we can't get through. And I think that is very valuable, but it has to be conveyed to the clients. But again, they can Google us and see our reviews. And I think that builds trust.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, and you think about it, too. I mean, especially when you have those repeat and past clients that come back to you. And, I mean, you're talking about you got referred to somebody who had kind of a screwy situation in the city somewhere, but they referred you because they trust you. And it sounds like it's a complicated situation. They have confidence that Sarah can deliver what needs to happen. Same thing goes for Stacey. Or when the call comes in like, hey, we used you 10 years ago, and it was so great, I wouldn't go anywhere else. That's a flight to safety. And if you're not building your brand, and I would argue the people that don't focus on like reviews or social proof or all those things that like it's basically an online resume that's there because I hate real estate agents. You're getting Googled 24/7 about what people are doing. I do that anytime I go into business with somebody, whether it's like an accountant. Like the first thing I do is just Google them. I mean, it's literally to a point where everyone kind of makes fun of me for doing it. And even though we talk about it all the time, so I could not agree with this more. And that's why you got to put in the work because that's not an immediate like gratification, like getting reviews. Like it's great. You got another review. It doesn't pay off until it pays off, right?
Right.
All right. Number 5. Did you have something?
Nope.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Nope.
Number 5, players are separated from pretenders. So what this means is the market made all of us look better than we were over the past few years. And I totally agree with this. And I'll be the first one to say that. And because the market's changing rapidly and the separation between professionals and amateurs is going to become more and more evident, or professionals and hacks, if you really want to call it something. And Warren Buffett even said, only when the tide goes out do you find out who's been swimming naked. Great quote.
I love that.
The tide's going out. So what do you think about this one?
Well, yes. There's a lot of pretenders, and Sarah and I work with them all the time.
I do too,
Yeah.
by the way. I have to deal with these people as well. So it's
So I know that they're going to be exposed very quickly if they aren't already. So it's going to be tough. I mean, you have to come with the goods. I mean, you do. In this business, you got to have the goods. So there's definitely going to be this separation. You know, the players are gonna forge on and continue to grab the market share, and the pretenders are just going to fall off.
Right, which is honestly good for everybody.
Yes, it's definitely good for the consumer too.
Right.
great
Good
for the consumer.
It's great for the consumer. It's great for even just like agent to agent, knowing that you're working with somebody who knows what they're doing. I think really it's all pros.
Mm-hmm.
I see this as a big win for everybody except the fakers that didn't want to put the work in, and that's on you. I mean,
Right.
that's my view of this, and the consumer is going to be the biggest winner here, because there have been more and more stories coming out about how people are, well, I wish I wouldn't have taken the advice of that person that just said bid X amount over the asking price and waive the inspections. And you know, the consumers at fault a little bit too, because they didn't do their research. I mean, I would argue everyone's got a little responsibility in those things. But there are more and more complaints, and we have had 0 of those, which I'm really proud of, because that's what you had to do to get houses the past 24 years. You also got to educate people, hey, here's the risks involved with that. I mean, think about some of the clients you had that didn't do it until like the 7th or 8th offer.
Right.
I have a couple that come to mind for both of you, which we will not name by actual names here.
Sure.
The point is, though, I think this is really, really well thought out, and the market deserves better. And I love that, you know, when he talks about the separation of hacks and professionals. I mean, the next 6 months, I see so much opportunity for movement, and that's why we're going to go over kind of the game plan to do that here next, especially over the next 7 weeks. This, to me, is no different than like the holiday season, where everyone's like drinking eggnog and going to holiday parties and wearing the ugly sweaters, and the hustlers are working and doing that stuff, because you can do both. And I think that's a myth that's out there.
Yep.
So, Jimmy, I mean, spot on here. Is that kind of how we feel?
Yep, he nailed it.
Totally. Yep.
All right, Jimmy, we're going to send you this. Congrats. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to go over the Summertime Shock Your Business Plan, the Summertime Surge Plan that we are implementing here for all the real estate agents that are out there. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
You shouldn't have to deal with all the red tape when getting your mortgage from a big or online bank. At Mortgage America, we have access to big bank money, but with the personalized and detailed service of a local bank. We are here in your community and ready to serve with fast settlements, low down payment options, and first-time homebuyer programs. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. For more information, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000.
Mortgage America's equal housing lender, NMLS 128501.
The Tom Toole Sales Group is the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania with over $165 million in volume for 2021. I'm Tom Toole, and our team has achieved that kind of success by being a great place to work with and to work for. No one knows Greater Philly better than we do. We know real estate, but more importantly, we're real people. We hire the best agents, and we give them all the tools to succeed. Even our brand new agents sell 17 to 24 homes a year because our team delivers the best experience in real estate. Teams deliver a better experience than individuals, and we're a top 1% real estate team in the country. We call it AAA service. We're your advocate, ally, and advisor, because this isn't a transaction to us. It's a relationship. If you're buying or selling a home, call the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX main line at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. That's tomtoole.com. Sell your home for more, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
Buying a home or already own one? We can help. I am Kevin Hamill from Alliances Insurance Agency. If you haven't reviewed your policies in the last 3 years, now's the time. New home buyers, there are a number of ways that we can help you get to that settlement table. Call us to find out more at 610-816-0000.